walk with me.
Give ear to my words, O Yahweh. Consider my meditation. Hearken to the voice of my cry, my King and my God, for unto thee will I pray. My voice shalt thou hear in the morning, O Yahweh. In the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee, and will look up. For thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all the workers of iniquity. Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. The I am will abhor the bloody and deceitful man. But as for me, I will come into thy house in the multitude of thy mercy, and in the fear I will worship toward thy holy temple. Lead me, O Yahweh, in thy righteousness because of my enemies. Make thy way straight before my face, for there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward parts is very wickedness. Their throat is an open sepulchre. They flatter with their tongue. Destroy thy them, O God. Let them fall by their counsels. Cast them out in the multitude of their transgressions, for they have rebelled against thee. But let all those that put their trust in thee rejoice. Let them ever shout for joy, because thou defendest them. Let them also that love thy name be joyful in thee. For thou, O Yahweh, will bless the righteous with favor. Wilt thou compass him as with a shield. Psalms chapter 5, verses 1 through 12. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, O my God. Establish thou me in my seed forever, that we go not astray from henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. A prayer of Abram. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Mr. Clay. Yes, those of you on YouTube Nation. Yes, and we want to thank God for those of you that have been with us since the beginning, and we want to thank God also for those of you that have been with us since here and there's about. I mean, it's been over a year now, and we're thanking God for all of you from this continual reading that we do from these, should I say, rejected books. Yes, rejected books. And we thank God for those of you who have just subscribed, and we thank the Most High for those of you that are about to subscribe. We call those things that are not as though they are. Yes, to his glory. Yes, we're in the book of Jubilees, chapter 16. We ended with verse 12, where we found out that a Shem is a Adonzedek, but it's been transliterated to Melchizedek. Come on here. Yes, in this book he's called Adonzedek. And he was the priest of Salem, which is Jerusalem. Now, you hear some people, they say this thing, they don't try to reveal this to you. This is why it's so important that you study and read these books that have been pushed aside because of whatever agenda the parties responsible has or have had. Now, also, we would say that even those New Testament books, now you can read them, but if they are not projecting this one they call the Messiah, which Enoch even calls the elect one, he's the elect, and who is coming with the 10,000 of his saints? Not him, but God himself. He will come with 10,000 of his saints, but it doesn't describe him as Revelation describes him. So we know that these books have been designed to take you to a certain place in your worship. In other words, to add another God to God. But this prophet never intended for that. Yes, he was crucified. Yes, he had those who was with him as with other prophets. Some of them had servants and people that would just follow them. Even as Abraham had people that followed him. But the fact is, the truth is there before you. All you need to do is just pick up a book and read it and understand. Things have to go in a line with that law. Now, that's one thing I can say they did not change at all was the laws, statutes, ordinances, and judgments of the Most High. No. Everything else, if it doesn't match up with this law and what God says about himself, throw it, get rid of it. Or this precept of God, which is his laws, statutes, commandments, and ordinances. That's what the word precept would mean. When you say precept, you say all these things in one. If you read something, then you say, I'm going back to a precept of that. That means I'm going back to the law, what the law says about this, what the law says about this action. This is what you're saying. You're not trying to just manipulate someone into going into what you're trying to tell them. No, it doesn't mean I'm going back. I'm going back to the law. When I say precept, all the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah who were there with their servants approached Abraham. What is the law against that? What is the precept against that? There is none. That's what a precept means. And when you deal with even the laws here, when you say precepts, even in a legal stance, you're talking about whatever is contained in that law of that place where you are or where you reside. Now, verse 13, let us continue. Yes. And all the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah who were there with their servants approached Abram and begged him to return their servants whom he had made captive, and to make unto himself all the property. Take unto himself, take the property. We want our servants because we can make more property with them. They was like machines. They were like tools. See, this is, whether they got them illegally or legally. They're by whatever precepts their government has made these captives their property. Now, 14, and Abraham answered the kings of Sodom, saying, as the I am liveth, who created heaven and earth, who redeemed my soul from all affliction, and who delivered me this day from mine enemies and gave them into my hand, I will not take anything belonging to you, that you may not boast tomorrow, saying to Abraham became rich from our property that he saved. In other words, Abraham, you didn't do nothing for me. God give me everything I have before I even thought of you. Yes. 15. And the I am my God in whom I trust, just as we said, whom you trust. When you tell the heathen this, when you tell a worldly Christian or a worldly person that walketh in the way, that calls itself walking in the ways of the law, when you tell them the God in whom I trust, if he doesn't rejoice or she doesn't rejoice with you, there's a problem. In other words, where's your joy? Where's your joy? Where is your confidence in the Most High? Yeah, but I wouldn't go say that to everybody. Like, no. You said to whomever you will, because you are rejoicing and you are giving glory to the Lord your God, even whatever you call him in your name, Tata Anzami Sinini Nanini, Allah, Ja Allah, whatever you would say, Yahweh, Yahuwah, yes, whatever, Yahweh, whatever you say in your language or what you've been taught to be said, until God brings us into that one. Now, verse 15, he said, for the I am my God in whom I trust, said unto me, thou shalt lack nothing, for I will bless thee in all thy works. Now, because you trust and you follow all the precepts of the Most High, not to just what you think they should be, but you following the precepts of the Most High. That's what when I say that, I'm saying everything built into one. I'm saying his laws, his statutes, his ordinances, and his commandments. When I say precepts, that's what I mean, is precept. Precepts, yes, whatever that contains, and you will find that in the 5 books or the 4 books of Moses. Yes, in the 66 books, it's there. Now, or you can go to the Tanakh, it's there too. Or the Septuagint, the Pentateuch, they're there. Yes. Now, let's get into this again. It says now, verse 16, and now therefore, behold, here is all belonging to you. Take it and go. As the I am liveth, I will not take from you from a living soul down to a shoe-tied thread, excepting the expense of the food of those who went out with me to battle. In other words, they saved you. They saved your behind. They had to be hungry. They had to be bandaged up and everything from whatever they experienced. Now, accepting the expense of the food of those who went out with me to battle. There's also the portions of the men who went with me, Anar, Eshcol, and Mamre, they and their men, as well as those who had remained to watch the baggage. And they, in other words, in the back are tents and all these things. That's what he's saying. And they shall take their portions of the spoil. And the king of Sodom gave Abraham according to all that he had said, and they pressed him to take whatever he chose. But he would not. God got me. God got me and everyone that would trust God. This was Abraham. He got them too. He got you if you trust him. If you trust him and you are following his precepts, you will not lack nothing. No. Now, don't get like the heathen thinking that everything that God is like a magical genie and that you're going to hit the lottery with God. No, that's not what it is. Abraham went through hell and high water. He had to be tested to even win the favor of the Most High. And you think you're going to waltz in there, I'm blessed and highly favored? The devil is a lie. You still doing the things that you do and you calling God's law to disappear? Oh, no. It says, and the kings of Sodom gave Abraham according to all that he had said, and they pressed him and to take whatsoever he chose, but he would not. And he sent away the kings of Sodom and the remainder of their men, and he gave them orders about Lot. And they, don't touch my nephew. All right, he ain't right, but don't touch him. And they went their way to their respective places. Abraham, he had a fit about Lot. And Lot, his brother's son, he also sent away with his property. And he went with him, and Lot returned to his home to Sodom. And Abraham and his people returned to their homes, to the plains of Mamre, which is in Hebron. Now, we know the man's greatest enemies are they of his own household, even this day. Because when you are of a household with a people, many of us, we are against each other. We just a plain old household. Many don't want to see each other prosper. Many are jealous. And this has happened from children. You see brother and sister fighting. This behavior is not cute. It has to be corrected even in infancy with the parents. Because this thing grow up into these children. When you laugh at it, do you not know that projects into that child that this is okay? It should not be. In order to maintain family, you have to watch your children. And they will do to their children as you have done to them. Now, and Lot, his brother's son, he also went away with his property, and he went with him. And Lot returned to his home to Sodom, and Abraham and his people returned to their home to the plains of Mamre, which is in Hebron. At that time, the I Am again appeared to Abraham in Hebron and said to him, do not fear. In other words, don't have no concern about none of this. Thy reward is very great before me. I will not leave thee until I have multiplied thee and blessed thee and made thy seed like the stars of heaven, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And he did that. Now you got the prophets. If you go to 6 books of the Pentateuch or the Septuagint, you got the prophets. And then you have the kings, and then you have the judges right after Moses and Samuel died, or should I say Oshe or Joshua, some of you call him, his transliterated name. You have these things. And then you have judges, then you have the kings. And with the kings is where Israel, even Judah, and the other 10 tribes became very wicked. Because they took after the pattern of the kings. Because they rejected the Most High. See, when you choose this Isus, you say he's my king over God. Oh, and then some of you go as far as say he's God because of what you read and don't understand. The fact is, you have chosen another fleshly king over God. You chose another man over the Most High. That's what you have done. For he is the seed of Joseph. He's not the seed of God. God don't overshadow no woman. Why should he when he can create from the dust and from the bone of a man? Why should he? What sense is that before the Most High? Let's call a buck a buck. Now, continue. And in verse 22, he says, and in the 78th year of the life of Abraham, in that year died Ru, the son of Peleg. And all the days of Ru were 239 years, and he died. And Sarai, the daughter of Haran, this is where it changed a little bit. We're going into another segment. Abraham's wife was still barren in those days, and she did not bear Abraham either son or daughter. And when she saw that she bare no children, she took her handmaid Hagar, whom Pharaoh had given her. Now, Hagar was, if you go back a few chapters, you're going to find out Hagar was the daughter of Pharaoh. He conceived her through the servants. They were not considered, in that culture, they were not considered as one who was actually born Egyptian. She was a servant of Pharaoh. Now, if she came from a royal family, then that would be different. But she was a servant whom Pharaoh had relations with, and he gave her to Abram, and Abraham gave her to Sarai for an handmaid. Now, let's continue. Whom Pharaoh had given her, and she gave her to Abraham, her husband. She gave him back to him for a wife because she can't bear. Okay. Polygyny. Was this a sin before God? God did not say nothing against that. But let's continue. For Hagar learned all the ways of Sarah as Sarah taught her. In other words, she learned how to worship the Most High. She learned the ways of the Most High. She understood what God required of a woman. And she did those things in her servitude to Sarai. In other words, dressing her, bathing her, whatever she had to do for Sarah, cooking, cleaning, or whatever, gathering, fetching, or whatever she had to do. She was a servant to Sarah. She was an aid to her. Even in her sickness, she was an aid to Sarah. And she was not in any way deficient in following her good ways. In other words, she knew what Sarah, she thought just like Sarah thought. You saw one, you saw the other. And Sarah said to Abram, behold, here's my handmaid, Hagar. Go to her that she may bring forth upon my knees, that I may also obtain children through her. And at the end of 10 years of Abraham's dwelling in the land of Canaan, which is the 85th year of Abram's life, Sarah gave Hagar unto him. You were 85 years old and still popping. Hey, Abraham had it going on. All right, and then Hagar, still having eggs at 85 at that age. Oh, wow. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarah, his wife. And he took his handmaid Hagar, and Abraham came to her, and she conceived. In other words, she still had eggs. For some reason, God preserved her eggs inside her womb. And when Hagar saw that she has conceived, she rejoiced greatly. Now, this was a thing back then, to have children to a noble person or a person that a woman respects. When you have children to a person you don't respect or you just want to have a good time, and then you get pregnant, you've really messed up bad. Because woman, as long as you can conceive, you have something for a man, and that's to bear his children. Because life comes from the man, regardless of whether you hate it or not. It comes from the man. And then the woman nurtures that life, and she brings it forth. This is how it goes. A man can produce basically all the days of his life. For many, all the days of their life, they can produce. Now, let's continue. And Abram hearkened to the voice of his wife Sarah, and he took his handmaid Hagar, and Abraham came to her, and she conceived. And with that, we're going to say peace.